It has been the honor and privilege of my life to serve as Cook County State's Attorney. It has, for me, a girl who grew up in Cabrini, the child of a single mother who was 17 when she had me and 18 when she had my brother, to stand here at Black History Month as the first African American woman elected in this position, coming from where I come from, is no small feat. And people ask me, why do I do what I do? Why did I choose this route? And it's because it was no small feat that a girl like me from Cabrini could grow up and go to law school, graduate, and find a career in public service. That a girl like me, who's been a survivor of sexual abuse and sexual assault, who saw people hurt and hurt others, who knew people who had been shot and those who had pulled a trigger. Someone like me who understood what the real impact of poverty and neglect looks like on families. Someone like me who, as a student in high school at Lincoln Park, bless their hearts right now, was struggling when we had no home to go to and would show up in class every day doing my best. Somebody like me could have this job. And what I know about that is that every day in every neighborhood, there are young people who have the potential to do amazing things. And so many of those young people we find caught up in a system of violence where they're dying in our streets and they look just like me and my brother and my cousins. And there's so many of our young people who end up in a criminal justice system that has for so long disproportionately impacted them, that our futures are locked behind bars for silly and trivial things. That for me, this job has meant an opportunity to show up in the fullness of every life experience that I've had and have that level of empathy and compassion for everyone who comes through our system. And for some people, it's not just about the fact that I've come into this role and you don't see many people who look like me who do it, but that I do it unapologetically as a Black girl from Cabrini. It's this narrative that some people would try to establish about who I am and what I represent flies in the face of everything that you know about me. Right. This narrative that somehow she has two systems of justice for those that have and those that have not, somehow being told by a person who has. I just want to think about the cognitive dissonance of a billionaire's son trying to establish that I have favorable attention for those that look like him and not for the people who look like this girl. That's right. That those who would try to talk and distract us when talking about one case but not the thousand. So I just want to remind you for a moment who I am and what we have done. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, when I came into this office in 2016, we were known as the false confession capital of the United States. Yeah. There was a story on 60 Minutes that talked about the number of wrongfully convicted who had sat in our prisons for decades, and we all knew it. We paid hundreds of millions of dollars in cases of police misconduct over the years, and we knew what John Burge had done. We knew what Watts had done, and yet we didn't do anything affirmatively to do something about it. We reinvigorated our conviction integrity unit. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We went from the false confession capital of the United States to leading the country the last 2 years in vacating wrongful convictions. Over 80 men and women who were wrongfully convicted getting their lives back. Years in 2017, when we had that bloody year, it turns out, ladies and gentlemen, while our children were dying in our streets, that we were spending most of our resources on nonviolent offenses. That when I tell people that we had over 760 people murdered in the city of Chicago, over 4,000 people shot, that the number one referred prosecution in Cook County was retail theft, was shoplifting. And what they will tell you is that she doesn't care about shoplifters. People aren't going to go into your shops if they're afraid of getting shot on the way. And every life matters to me. And so we raised the threshold and we focused our attention on violent crime. We put lawyers in our most hardest hit neighborhoods. We started in Inglewood. We went to Lawndale. We're in Austin. We're in 5 different neighborhoods. And everywhere we put a lawyer working hand in hand with law enforcement, we saw a decrease in violent crime. That's not an accident. That's called innovation. That's called using our minds and our hearts to put our resources where they belong. Let me tell you how silly that is. You can't afford to pay your ticket, And so I'm going to take your driver's license, and then I'm going to prosecute you and potentially put you in jail to make you pay a bail to get the money to pay for a ticket so you can get your driver's license back and go to work.
All right, Kim. Go ahead, Kim.
That beautiful mind math that we were doing. And disproportionately, the poor people who couldn't pay those tickets look like this room. They were poor black and brown people getting records, convictions for poverty. But guess what? In 2019, the city council voted to stop suspending people's licenses for failure to pay tickets. And in 2020, just last month, the governor signed the License to Drive Act that will now reinstate 55,000 people with their driver's license. Now, I remind you, we started that in 2017. And people say to me that you don't have the right to change laws. You should wait until the legislature does it. I'm here to tell you that sometimes you got to go first to let people know that the sky won't fall and justice will rise. And that's what happened with that. I want to talk about the largest piece of legislation that we did. When we legalized marijuana in Illinois, I don't know what you do in your spare time. This was not about the ability to smoke weed. You do what you do. What I know is that the war on drugs ravished our communities. The war on drugs and people being arrested and incarcerated for marijuana offenses disproportionately impacted black and brown communities to the tune of 7-1. And when I saw John Boehner on the news 2 years ago talking about he was investing in a weed company, I said to myself, oh, absolutely not. And on December 31st, 6 hours before those dispensaries opened, they had everybody on the news. And December 31st, it's cold in Chicago. They had tents and hand warmers and hot chocolate, and people was out there jubilant. What I know from people that I know from college, let's say. First time marijuana users aren't standing in line for 6 hours on a December night in Chicago waiting for a dispensary to open up. I just know that. And what I also know is those people said they could finally come out of the shadows. What I also know is I've never seen as much diversity in a marijuana line than what I saw in that line tonight. Those weren't the people we were prosecuting. Those weren't the people at Cook County Jail. And so when this narrative about who it is that I serve the people. From bond reform to conviction integrity to marijuana to putting our resources on guns, it has been about our communities. And you're right, the work has just begun. And it's been hard. It's been hard. I have my daughter here, who don't look at her all at once because she'll be like, you made me look at me. Who we had a heart-to-heart today about how hard this has been for our family. I want to remind us all what we're working with here. Because I don't want us to feel lax about what's happening, why every single phone call matters, why every door knock matters, why every post matters. That this has been elevated into this thing about this one case that allowed for white nationalists to march on my office on April 1st. That this one case that has led to people sending death threats to me and to my family that people haven't wanted to talk about, but I'm going to say it in here. That if you believe that people care about empire that much, that's not what this is about. So when your friends and your neighbors are talking about this case, you ask them, why have people been so riled up about this when we were the false confession capital? Where was this righteous anger when we were paying almost $1 billion in police misconduct? Where was this righteous anger when people were coming to march on my office about a case? Ladies and gentlemen, it's because what we're doing in Cook County is infectious. What you said that you wanted in 2016 allowed for someone like me to win on a platform of justice reform. And then what happened is somebody got elected like me in Philadelphia, and then in Boston, and then in Orlando, and now in San Francisco. And what's happening is that when you watch presidential debates and everybody from Bernie to Buttigieg to Bloomberg all say you have a criminal justice reform platform that wants to legalize marijuana and vacate convictions. Where we do that at? They said they want to stop criminalizing poverty and prosecuting people for driving on suspended license. Where they do that at? They said they wanted to end cash bail and have bail reform. Where would they do that at? They said that they want to do all the things that we have already done here. And so, yeah, there is a movement to stop the progress. There is a movement to stop the progress. And so I'm in for it. My family is in for it. They have signed up for this work because it's too important for us to go back. You don't just show up all of a sudden and say that you're a progressive. Right? You don't take advantage of our communities and try to come in as heroes. That offends me. What I want to say to all of you is you got to be fired up. You got to be fired up. You've got to be fired up. This is the race. And I know on the national level, we're getting discouraged because of what's happening in the White House, and we're going to fix that. But what's happening here, we fixing it. But I need you. I need every phone call. I need every door knock. I need every post. I need you all to stay fired up.
You got
not
it.
To go by the way of the okie doke, because they're counting on us to not be fired up.